Welcome back. We're glad to have you with us again. Today, I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
How would you spend the days you have left if you knew that your days were numbered? Let's say you knew you had a week to live, a month to live. What would you do with that time?
That's good. Adrian?
Yeah. Let's see. How much golf can I play now? I'm just, I mean, honestly, it's funny. We just had, before we recorded this, both of our girls were at summer camp at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And everybody we told that to said, oh, you guys Jamie and I, to us, are you guys going to go party? And we thought, yeah, we should do something. I think it was Monday night. I think it's been 24 hours and it was sad because they weren't home.
Yeah.
So I happen to know friends there that work there, like the director, and like, are my kids okay? Can you give me some, insider information? I would spend time with, I think I would spend time with my family, as much time as possible. Yeah.
The same exact thing. When you asked that question, the first thing that popped into my mind is spend time with my family, with my grown kids, and also my grandchildren. I honestly, almost all I want to do anymore is to spend time with my grandchildren. And I feel sometimes like everything else is just getting in the way of that. So that's how I'd want to spend
Well,
my
I
days.
hate to say the same thing, but with a teenager who is, partway through high school, and I feel like we only have a few years left, similarly,
Totally.
that time is so, so precious.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. We reach a point in the story today where King Belshazzar of Babylon, he's convinced that his kingdom is invincible. He's like, we've got this unlocked. We are good. He throws this party while a Persian army is advancing towards them. And then it gets worse. They use these holy goblets that his father had stolen from the temple in Jerusalem, and they get drunk with drink from these goblets. And literally, the writing is on the wall. Mysterious writing in the story appears on the wall and leaves two messages, two pretty, I think, earth-shattering, frightening messages. The first that says, your days are numbered. And the second basically reminds us that none of us can measure up to God's standard.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, as we think about kind of this idea of sowing and reaping, like how we live is going to have effects further on down the road.
Yeah.
How have you observed that happening in your life or around you? And why do you think it's important that we pay attention to that idea of sowing and reaping?
Yeah.
Yeah. The not easy one, the one that comes to mind really quickly is, I mentioned in one of our other videos about my health journey and changing my life. And it's, it was a lot of sowing, of tracking my food and eating the right things and making the right decisions. And I've reaped the benefits of, smaller clothes to buy. They're a little cheaper, less, but then also more energy. Talking about wanting to be with my kids, I just remember not being able to keep up with them. And they were small, but now I have enough energy to do that. And I think it's, at least for me, it's this visible reminder of that principle that, what you invest in, you will, you'll get that reward.
Yeah. I love the way it's put in these notes. You always reap what you sow, right? You're not going to plant peaches and reap apples. You always reap more than you sow. You plant one seed and you can get a whole tree with fruit. And you always reap later.
Yeah.
You don't plant the seed and there comes the plant, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's true. And it's an important principle to understand, both when you're doing something bad and doing something good. You're going to reap more than you sow, and it's going to be later. If it's something that's self-destructive, you won't see that impact immediately and think, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yep.
It didn't affect me negatively. Well, you reap later than you sow.
Yeah.
But also for good things. It reminds us that the littlest seeds planted now can reap major things. And three things really quickly. Bible memory. For me, I know that sounds like such a pastor answer, but how long does it take really to memorize a verse like Psalm 46:10? Be still and know that I am God. Probably everybody watching just memorized it. So it takes seconds. And yet you can take that verse and for the rest of your life, keep eating on it, keep meditating on it. In the middle of the night, you're stressed out. You go, what's something else I can think about? I don't even have to open up the Bible to remember this verse. Little seed I planted, and it's going to be fruit for decades in your life. To me, that's one example. Another example, as a writer, I try to write a book a year, and I read a Silicon Valley tech guy who's written 2 novels a year on average. They're bestseller novels. And he said, somebody asked him, how do you do that with your other job? You're the CEO of a company. And he said, I take 20 minutes every morning and I write, and the alarm goes off in 20 minutes. And if I'm in the middle of a sentence, I just stop because then I'm going to want to get to it the next morning. And 20 minutes a day, every day, and he writes 2 books a year. You know, you sow a little bit now and you reap something, you know, much bigger later on. I think those are 2 examples of how I've seen that in my own life.
Yeah.
But the biggest example for me was, I've talked about it a lot in our church, my anxiety attacks. When I was diagnosed with those anxiety attacks, which have physical effects, I said, but I wasn't even feeling anxious when I had the attack. And you feel like you're having a heart attack or a stroke. And the doctor told me, well, it's accumulative. You know, you've been living a life of anxiety and putting in a penny into that piggy bank for so many years that your nervous system now just can't take it anymore. And it's shutting down, and your body is shutting down because of years and years of accumulated stress that was not dealt with. And he said, you have to understand that the way to get out of that is also the law of sowing and reaping. It's not just like one magic pill you can get. It's a life of a better diet, better sleep, better mental attitude, memorizing Bible verses. He was a Christian doctor, so that's one of the things he's told me. Meds, a whole constellation of things. That's the law of sowing and reaping as well.
Absolutely. And mine is very similar to that. I have a medical condition of seizures. That means I have to be active and I have to watch my diet and I have to stay regular on my medication. And if I miss any one of those things, I notice the effects immediately, which is helpful to keep you going.
Sure.
But my doctor said, if you want to live a long time and if you want to meet your grandkids and all that, you've got to keep this up. And so there's that motivation there to do the right thing and to stay on top of it. And I can tell, again, if I miss one day, I will reap what I sow. I feel horrible that day. So it's a in-my-face reminder in a good kind of way that we do reap what we sow.
And sometimes it's a cataclysmic reveal, right? Like it was for these guys in this party. For sure. They had years following Nebuchadnezzar's eventually wise rule. They had years of just dissipation and corruption and pleasing themselves, and they become weaker and weaker incrementally. And what they reap is they're defenseless when the Persians attack.
Exactly. Yeah. As we talk about this idea of reaping and sowing, I think it's also really important for us to remember that it's not about earning God's favor. We read in Ephesians chapter 2, this verse, but because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy made us alive in Christ. So yes, while it's good to think about the law of reaping and sowing, we also have to remember that mercy is in play and grace is in play. And we don't have to earn our way into God's favor. He loves us unconditionally.
I love the balance in Galatians, where it's all, the whole epistle is about grace, but at the end, Paul says, now do not be deceived. You reap what you sow. Not as a matter of salvation. Salvation is by grace, but he's like, you know, you're saved by grace, but you still reap what you sow in this life.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we hope you guys enjoy looking at the rest of the questions provided for you and that this prompts good discussion for you and your group today.